It's not fair at all. All eyes are on the Senate today, and Republican Congressman Kevin Brady voted in favor of that debt deal over in the House on that side of the Capitol yesterday. And Congressman Brady joins us now, in all seriousness, to talk a little bit about this deal, which looks like, Congressman, it'll get done in about an hour. Tell us your logic for voting in favor of it.
Well, look, you know, if this shrinks the government, I'm voting for it. If we get real cuts, I'm voting for it. The way I look at it, if you exclude the savings from winding down the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, without the Budget Control Act, our government grows to over 23% of the economy. With the Budget Control Act, it shrinks to about 21.5%. Right. Is that enough? Clearly not, but it's certainly the right direction.
Okay, so your argument is what to the people in your own party who voted, and I think there were 60-some-odd Republicans who voted against it, basically making the argument that we need to do a little bit more here?
Well, I think we're all equally hungry for more spending cuts in the smaller government. We just differed a little on the strategy. It's okay. I think we're unified and coming right back and fighting for more cuts when we come back in September.
You know, it's interesting in that, I guess it brings up the next part of the conversation here, is that everybody agrees that spending has to be cut, hence this deal gets done. And as you say, there'll be a fight about whether spending has to be cut even further. Comes at a time where our economy is not exactly going gangbusters here. We had more data. We get data just about every day, in fact, that shows that the economy is slowing down. People talking about the fact that will we be pushed into another recession. Do you think that these moves by Congress will help that or hinder it in terms of, because now we have to move the focus on to growth in the economy as opposed to just cutting, don't we?
You know, I think it's going to help strengthen the economy. Here's why. We are going to lose some jobs, as you've seen in the state and local government sector. And those are numbering in the thousands. But the potential for private sector job growth should be 200,000 to 300,000 a month. Right. If we can convince business, you know, we're getting a financial house in order, we're laying off the higher taxes, the threat of new regulation, it really bringing that capital back in the market, I think it's just critical. We know what doesn't work, which is the higher government spending. Let's try a different approach. That's interesting because I've heard a lot of people talk. See, the argument against that would be to say at this point in the economy is the last time you really want to be pulling back on the spending. And you're saying we have to try a different approach, because I think a lot of people would say, and some economists have come on, for example, and said to us, it wasn't necessarily that we shouldn't have had a stimulus, it's just the stimulus that we did have didn't work, wasn't put together the right way. Well, I would agree with what it wasn't put together the right way, but you know, the cuts that are occurring in the short term in these bills are relatively minor, certainly small compared to the size of the economy, clearly.
So the point is, it won't necessarily have an effect in the short term that would be destimulative, in your view?
I don't think it will. I don't think it will. It really is about sending the right signals to the private market. And we've looked at, for 4 decades now, every time the federal government grows, the private sector, jobs along Main Street shrink. We're seeing that again. And until we get real private investment in buildings, equipment, software, we just won't see the jobs, and that's what we're all focused on.
Yeah, we all are focused on jobs. You have a big report on Friday. All right, Congressman, before we let you go, let me just ask you one question about Congress moving forward from here. A lot's been made, for example, of the comments that were attributed to the Vice President yesterday, referring to the Tea Party or some in it as quote-unquote terrorists. I mean, this has been an ugly debate at times, and now, as you said, we have more to figure out here. Got to get a deal on the budget done in the fall. How are we going to get through this, and can people, you know, act with any kind of civility?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a pretty calm guy. Those remarks made me angry. You know, the Tea Parties in our community, in our district, look, they're just average people. They just want government smaller than it is today. They want their own private individual freedoms to be stronger. They're not terrorists. These are average, good people. So the Vice President was way out of line, but he's probably an indication of how tough it is going to be to bridge this divide. All
right, about an hour away from the big Senate vote. Congressman Kevin Brady voted in favor yesterday of this debt deal. Thanks for joining us from Capitol Hill.
Thanks, Connell. Appreciate it.
All right, our next guest here says even with all this talk that's out there now that we have a deal done, or almost